5'9", 152-pound junior, Ronnie Warner. At flanker, 5'9", 150.
At left guard, number 64, Sean Christensen. At left tackle, number 65, Ryan Ponte. At right tackle, number 71, Norm Serene. At tight end, number 85, Toby Emblad. At the other end, number 15, Ryan Frazier. Wide receiver for tonight's game, number 8, Eric Copey. At the tailback, number 28, Jim Lafreniere. Starting at the fullback spot for tonight is number 27, John Millalati. And the QB for tonight, number 25, Jesse Aho. The Gladiators are under head coach Bob Carlson. The assistant coaches are Tom Poisson and Mark Babula. The officials for tonight's contest is a team made up of John Gravier, Joe Strong, Eugene Fisher, Tom Rainier, and Gary Peterson. Now would you please stand and uncover?
Back deep will be Adam Marcotte and Chris Zablocki for the Lakes. Gladiators won the toss but deferred to Lake Linden, so the Gladiators will kick off to start here this evening. No wind, flag hanging straight down. Partly cloudy skies and a good crowd on hand here at the Ontonagon Athletic Field as the Lakes and the Gladiators on Y101. Here's that up a line drive kick, and it goes past Marcotte. He picks it up inside the 10-yard line, gets to the 15, now cuts left and still on his feet, and he gets up to the 25-yard line before he's wrestled down. Marcotte on the return, and the kicker, Jeff Edipa, making the stop for the Gladiators. And a big center, Mike Kivelaw. 6'2", 262-pound senior. Godair powers his way off big center Mike Kivelaw, across the 45 to the 47-yard line. The blocking with 4 touchdowns, including a touchdown pass from Ron Warner. Here's the handoff now to Godair, and going off right tackle, and he gets into Ontonagon territory, and another Lake Linden first down. And wishbone backfield now for the Lakes. Here's the pitch out to Zablocki, rolling around the left side. He has some room. He's to the 40, to the 35. We have a flag thrown down at the 40-yard line, and we'll see what that is about. A good yardage and a first down carry by Chris Zablocki. The Gladiators are clapping their hands, so evidently it's against the Lakes. So that'll nullify that big run by Chris Zablocki. In the first quarter, this is the opening drive for the Lakes, starting from their own 25. Throw set in the backfield now. In motion is Godair. Warner with a long count. Here's the handoff now to Zablocki, going off the left side of the offensive line, and he gets short yardage up to midfield for a gain of 5. We'll set up a second down and 10 right at the 50-yard line. Here's the Warner now going back to pass. He has Marcotte to the 45, to the 40, and it'll be close to the first down. And Marcotte is wrestled down inside the 40-yard line, inside the 40 of the Gladiators. Here's the handoff to Zablocki. Big hole on the left side, but closed up nicely by the Gladiators as Glenn Gilbo was in there. Otherwise, Zablocki might have had about 10 or 15 more on that. It'll be a gain of about 5. It'll set up a second down and 5. Full backfield once again with Marcotte and Godair and Zablocki. Here's the counter play to Zablocki going around the right side. He's got plenty of running room. He may go the distance, and he's knocked out of bounds. He runs out of bounds inside, close to the 20. Here's Here's Warner now going back to pass again. He's looking for Zablocki, and then he hits his receiver. Down there is Josh Hendrickson, and it's close to the end zone. It'll be about at the 2-yard line. So a 14-yard pass play, and we have a flag. And they'll bring her back. A equipment penalty against the Lakes. Mouthpiece. So they'll bring it back to the 20-yard line, where it'll be 1st and 15 now. So that'll cut out the 14-yard pass play and set up a 1st down and 15 from the 20. Here's Marcotte going up the left side and gets about 5 yards on the play. And they'll bring the chains all the way up to the 10-yard line. So a gain of 10 on the play. The opening kickoff at the 12-yard line. And going off center that time is Marcotte, the ball carrier. And Marcotte to take the measurement. And it'll be about a half a foot. The Gladiators, they're threatening in the opening drive. 6:58 remaining. Marcotte, Zablocki, and Kader in the backfield. Warner looks kind of small behind his big center, Mike Kivela. In motion now is Marcotte. Here's a handoff to Zablocki, and he grinds his way for the 1st down as he gets inside the 5 to the 4, and it'll be 1st and goal for the Lakes. 1st and goal, make it from the 3-yard line. Here's a handoff to Kader, and he's in for the touchdown. Going off center, Mike Kivela, and right guard, Matt Peterson. Peterson, 6 foot, 306 pounds. Kivela, 6'2", 262 pounds. And Kader scores the Lakes' first touchdown and put the Lakes on the blocky and Drew all wide right. Here's the pitch out now to Marcotte going around the left side, has blocking in front of him, and he's in for the 2-point conversion. And the Lakes go up 8-0. Timeout on the field. 6:24 remaining here in the 1st quarter. It's the Lakes 8 and the Gladiators nothing. We'll be back in 1 minute.
Before you...
It was good from Warner to Marcotte, and that's where we stand right now, 8-0. Picking off now for the Lakes will be Chris Brown. Back deep for the Gladiators will be Lafreniere, along with Mililati. There's a low kick, and it gets across midfield to the 45-yard line, and Matt White comes up with it for the Gladiators. So Brown on the short kick, trying to maybe get the Gladiators. Eric Culpe now wide right. Jesse Aho, the sophomore quarterback, hands off to Lafreniere. He has some running room. He's in Lakes territory all the way to the 45-yard line and close to a 1st down. That time going off the right side of that offensive line of the Gladiators in good yardage. And it'll be shy of the 1st down as Jim Lafreniere, the sophomore, will set up 2nd and short. Now a ball's backfield for the Gladiators. Here's the handoff to Majorin. Majorin gets a yard if that, but does get the 1st down, and it'll be 1st and 10 at the 44-yard line. And Mililati. Culpe once again wide right. Here's the pitch out to Mililati. It's across, is close to the 43-yard line, and a nice stop by the Lakes. Peter Berry, 5'9", 183-pound junior. There'll be Jesse Aho now going back to pass. Rolling right. He's going to run it. He's to the 45, and he's going to be stopped at the 39-yard line. And did he cough up the football? And it will be the Lakes ball. Aho fumbles the football. Well, the Gladiators had 4 turnovers last in the first half against Barraga. Here's a big hole by Marcotte. Open up for Marcotte. He's all the way down to the 35 to the 30. He may go all the way. He's in for the touchdown. A 61-yard run by Adam Marcotte. And it's now 14-0 Lake Linden. Now the Gladiators coughed it up at the 39-yard line, and one play later, a 61-yard run by Adam Marcotte, and our score is 14-0 Lakes. Marcotte with runs of 43, 39, and 16 yards last week against Houghton. This one coming for a second conversion with 4:35 remaining here in the first quarter. Here's a handoff to Zablocki, rolling around the right side, and in for the two-point conversion. And our score with 4:35 remaining in the first quarter, it's all Lake Linden leading the Gladiators 16-0. We'll be back in 1 minute.
Their hard work.
Kicking off for the Lakes, Lafreniere and Mililati back deep. Last time Brown kick, it was short. And another short kick, and it's going to be scooped up at the 45-yard line by the Gladiators' Ryan Frazier. Maturin, Lafreniere, Mililati in the backfield for the Gladiators. Here's a handoff to Lafreniere, and he gets about 3 on the carry. Josh Drew in on the stop for the Lakes. Here's a pass by Aho to Frazier, and it's good for a first down. That time, good call by Coach Bob Carlson of the Gladiators. Aho taking 2-step backs and throws a strike to Frazier inside Lakes territory at the 48-yard line, and it'll be 1st and 10 for the Gladiators. At the Lakes 48, Bullhouse backfield. Here's a handoff to Lafreniere, and he's going nowhere. And making the stop was Jason Drupkart. 6'2", 215-pound senior, and it'll be a loss of a yard. And set up a 2nd down and 11. His defense last Saturday, they did win 42-7. Here's Aho now rolling left, and he's being hounded, and he's going to have to run it, and he's smacked by Kibble out of bounds. And believe me, the sophomore felt that one. Back in Ontonagon territory, 262 pounds, hit 5'11", 137-yard line. Here's Aho to Mililati, and Mililati gets back into Lakes territory at the 49-yard line, where I'll set up a 2nd down and make it 11, or 4th down rather, and 11. Close kick. Here's the snap, and the kick is up and almost blocked by Drew. It's going to be picked up by Zablocki at the 20-yard line. He's to the 30, to the 35, cuts inside, and a nice tackle at the 37-yard line by Jet Edipa. And the Lakes will take over offensively. Gladiators trailing 14-0 here in the first quarter. As the Lakes stop him offensively. Here's Warner, and he has Zablocki wide open at the 42-yard line. Now cuts left, still on his feet, and he lunges to the 45-yard line. Before he stopped making a tackle was Toby Elmblad for the Gladiators. 2nd down and 3 from the 45-yard line for the Lakes. Here's Coderre, and he just powers his way off right tackle into Ontonagon territory to the 47-yard line. And another 1st down for the Lake Linden-Hubbell Lakes. Here's a hand up now to Marcotte, and he has good blocking once again, this time the left side. And he gets up to the 35-yard line. Here's the handoff now, and Zablocki, runner on the right side, being driven out of bounds by Matt White and Jim Lafreniere, but another 1st down for the Lakes. Marcotte and Coderre and Zablocki in the backfield behind Ronnie Warner, the quarterback, and big center Mike Kivalaw. Here's the handoff to Coderre, and he grinds his feet all the way across close to the 25-yard line, and we have a penalty marker down. And we'll see what that is about, as a holding call will be the preliminary indication, as they're talking to the officials, that is, they're talking to the Lakes first and 10 from the 32-yard line, and it is holding. So they'll march that off against Ontonagon. They already have built themselves a early hole here with 60, resulting in 20 yards. And the Lakes once again knocking on the Gladiators' door with 2 seconds remaining. Here's the pitch out to Zablocki. He has blocking in front of him, trying to get her on the left side. He has running room, and he's finally driven out of bounds at the buzzer inside the 5-yard line. So the Lakes, when we return to start the second quarter, will have it first and goal inside the 5-yard line. They lead the Gladiators. Kadir with a 3-yard run, 15 plays, 75 yards on that drive for the Lakes. And here's the run and another touchdown. And it'll be Jeff Kadir scoring. And it's now 22-0. Again. In motion is Kadir. Here's Warner going to pass, and wide open is Drew. He's in for the 2-point conversion. Good call by Ron Warner, the whole offense shifting right. And Drew out there in the left flat in the end zone, taking the strike from Ronnie Warner. So our scores, we just start the second quarter. The Lakes now lead 24-0. We'll be back in 1 minute for another Lake Linden kickoff.
FDIC.
Yeah. 11:57 remaining here in the second quarter, and here's a kick by Brown. It's going to be picked up by Lafreniere at the 25-yard line. He has a good run, and before he's finally hauled down, Kadir making a jersey tackle inside the 35 to the 34-yard line, and the Gladiators trailing 20-point conversion once again good for the Lakes, giving the Lakes a 22-0 lead. Here's Lafreniere with a hole opened up and closed up nicely as he gets to the 45-yard line. Make that the 40-yard line. Gladiators trailing 22-0 here in the second quarter. Here's the handoff. Mililati, the ball carrier, gets about a yard on the carry. Make it a couple of yards on the carry, so a 3rd and 3 from the 42-yard line of the Gladiators. Their second offensive series. Full house backfield for the Gladiators now. Here's Aho pitching out to Mililati, and he cuts inside, and he meets a host of Lake Linden tacklers as he gets brought down for a loss on the play. And it'll be a 4th down and make it 4 for the Gladiators. 55-yard line for the Lakes. Snap is good. The kick is up, and it's a good kick by Aho. And it's going to take a Gladiator bounce. Marcotte picks it up at the 28-yard line and brings it up across the 40 to the 42-yard line. And the Lakes will start 1st and 10 from the 43-yard line as Matt White makes the stop on Adam Marcotte. So at Ontonagon, pro set in the backfield now. Slot left is Kadir. In motion now is Marcotte. Here's a pitch out to Zablocki. Zablocki across the 45 and still on his feet. And he's going to the 35-30, and he's going to go all the way, and he trips up, just as I said that, inside the 20 at the 18-yard line. And making the touchdown saving tackle was Toby Elmblad of the Ontonagon Gladiators. Well, Zablocki appeared to be stopped at the 45-yard line as he met a host of tacklers on the defensive right side line of the Gladiators, and he broke out of there and ran it down the sidelines, and Toby Elmblad making a touchdown saving tackle at the 10-yard line, or make it officially the 11-yard line, where the Lakes will start 1st and 10 at the Gladiator 11-yard line. Here's Warner going back to pass. He's looking for Marcotte. He has him. He's in for the touchdown. A 11-yard pass from Warner to Marcotte. And it's now 30-0. The 2-point conversion. And running it in is Chris Zablocki, and it'll be now 32-0 Lake Linden with 9:26 remaining. All Lake Linden here this evening in the first half, as as they lead the Gladiators 32-0. We'll be back in 1 minute for the Lakes kickoff. Here in the second quarter, the Lakes scoring once again. Here's a kick by Brown, and it's a short kick. It takes the Lakes bounce, picked up by Culpe. Culpe across the 35, and still on his feet across the 40 to the 42-yard line, where the Gladiators, trailing now 32-0, will start first and 10. That drive for the Lakes, 3 plays, 57 yards, the 11-yard pass from Ron Warner to Adam Marcotte. Big run by Zablocki. Enjoying a 32-0 lead. Here's Aho going back to pass, rolling left, has time, looking for Elmblad, and almost picked off at the 45-yard line. In there defensively was Brandon Stevens, 5'5", 140-pound senior, and it'll be second and 10. Well, the sophomore quarterback showing some zip. Pro set in the backfield. Wide right is Culpe. Here's the handoff to Lafreniere, and Lafreniere is going nowhere. In on the stop for the Lakes is Tom Miller. Gain of about 2 on the play. It'll be third down and make it 8 for the Lake, for the Gladiators. Culpe now goes out wide right. Mililati and Lafreniere in the backfield. Here's the handoff to Lafreniere. Gets up to the 46-yard line. And once again, Tom Miller in on the stop. It'll be fourth down for the Gladiators. And make it 5. Gain of 3 on the play. And the ball at the 46. As the Gladiators have been limited in every aspect offensively here in the first half by the Lake Linden-Hubbell Lakes defense, including coughing the football up. Here's a high kick by Aho as Zablocki takes it at the 20-yard line. Hands it off, fake hand off to Marcotte. Tries to roll it on the right side to the 30, to the 35-yard line, 40, to the 50, 45, 40. Cuts inside to the 30, and finally wrestled down by the Gladiators, Ryan Frazier. Not before he gets to the 29-yard line. Good running that time by Chris Zablocki. Down at the 20-yard line, the fake handoff to Marcotte. Then rolled around the right side, had some running room, and showing some speed, and bringing it all the way down inside the 30. Kadir, Zablocki, and Marcotte in the backfield for the Lakes. Here's a handoff, and Zablocki make that Kadir the ball carrier, and he gets inside the 15 to the 13-yard line. That time going off the left side, that offensive line of the Lakes. And another first down for the Lake Linden-Hubbell Lakes. Here's the handoff to Zablocki, the ball carrier. And this time he gets inside the 10 to the Kadir, the ball carrier. And it'll be a second down, gain of 4. They get second and 6. Here's the handoff, and in for the touchdown is Marcotte. Or make that Zablocki the ball carrier. So Zablocki going off, following his blockers to perfection on the right side, and goes in on the right side of the end zone for the touchdown. And it's now 38-0 Lake Linden. Extra point for the Lakes will be Eric Miller. There's a high snap. Miller gets it up. He gets a high kick. And it is no good. Wide left. Well, they kicked it high enough, but just didn't have the right direction. So with 6:32 remaining here till halftime, it is now 38-0 Lake Linden. We'll be back in 1 minute.
Member FDIC.
Well, that last drive by the Lakes, 4 plays, 28 yards. Here's a kick to Culpe. Culpe gets up to the 35-yard line. He's hammered. And making the stop for the Lakes is Josh Johnson, 5'8", 139-pound junior. And the Gladiators trailing by 38 points here. And it has been all Lake Linden. 4 plays, 28 yards, a 7-yard run by Chris Zablocki. The extra point was no good. And that's where we stand right now, 38-0. Now we have movement, and it appears the Lakes and Jeff Kadir were offside. So make it 1st and 5 from the 40-yard line. Here's Mililati getting good yardage inside the 49-yard line before he's wrestled down. Run here in the first half, 6:10 remaining. Here's ball carrier Mililati once again, and he gets into Lake's territory to the 48-yard line before he's stacked up. The Lakes ahead of the Gladiators, 5:34 remaining. Here's the pitch out now to Mililati, rolling around the right side. Breaks the Blocky's attempted tackle, and coming up to make the stop was Tom Miller and Jeff Kader, as Mililati gets inside the 45 to the 42-yard line. Head of the Gladiators. Here's Aho now going back, looking deep for Elmblad, and he overthrows him, and a nice pickoff at the 15-yard line. Playing it like a center fielder was Brandon Stevens, and Stevens gives the Gladiators their second turnover of the half. And he'll be at the 15-yard line. Well, the Gladiators fumble. Lake Linden will now take over 1st and 10 from their 15-yard line. Here's the ball carrier Marcotte, and he's going to be hog-tied down. Making a stop was Norman Serene for the Gladiators. Marcotte gain of a now wide left for the Lakes. There's a handoff and getting close to the first down. Going off right tackle is the ball carrier Kader, and he does pick up a Lake Linden. Zablocki and Marcotte in the backfield. Here's a handoff and a good hole off left tackle, and Zablocki gets good yardage, close to another first down, as he's up to the 35-yard line. Zablocki and Marcotte once again in the backfield. Ronnie Warner, the quarterback, 5'9", 152-pound junior, son of the coach. Here's the fake handoff to Zablocki. Here's Marcotte, gets across the 40 to the 44-yard line before being stopped by the Gladiators' Dan Mackey. And another first down for the Lake Linden-Hubbell Lakes. Two Gladiator turnovers here in the first half. It's been all Lake Linden here with 2:38 remaining here in the first half, as we have a new... Here's a handoff, and getting close to the 49-yard line is the ball carrier Kader. Kader, Marcotte, and Zablocki in a wishbone backfield. Here's Warner heading off to Zablocki. He has some running room. He cuts around the right side. He's to the 35, and he's wrestled down at the 31-yard line. Zablocki, once again, showing some speed, is Lafreniere in on the stop for the Gladiators. Not before Lafreniere. Here's a handoff to Kader. Kader gets close to the 25-yard line before being driven back by Dan Mackey. 15 remaining until halftime. All Lake Linden. Here's a little counter play to Marcotte. He has some running room and him blocking in front of him, and he's going to go in for the touchdown. The 6th touchdown of the half, and it's now 44-0. So a 26-yard run by Adam Marcotte with 1:01 remaining here till halftime, and the Lakes now go up 44-0. Now Josh attempting the extra point will be Eric Miller. Here's a snap. The kick is up, and it is through the uprights. And it's 45-0 with minute 1 remaining till halftime. We'll take a 1-minute timeout. It is all Lake Linden here tonight in Ontonagon.
If your propane supply go up, INJ Bruce Crossing 76 self-serve mart open 24 hours for your convenience.
Okay, back here with a minute 1 remaining. It's now 45-0 Lake Linden. Kicking off will be Chris Brown. Low line drive kick, and the Gladiators will take over on the 46-yard line. Glenn Gilbo making a nice stop on that one as he landed on it. Reload. Here's a handout to Mililati, and he gets about a yard, if that. In on the stop for the Lakes. 31 seconds remaining here till halftime. Here's Aho now going back to pass, and we have a flag thrown in the backfield. It'll be illegal procedure against the Gladiators. Here's Aho going back to pass. Now rolls right. He's going to be hauled down by Kader inside the 35 to the 34-yard line. At the buzzer, that's going to be end of the first half. Our score, 45-0. We'll be back in 1 minute to recap the first half scoring in all Lake Linden. Official timeouts. The clock will be continuously running. So Gary Monk, if you're listening, will have less timeouts to be taken here in the second half. The Lakes will kick off to the Gladiators to start the third quarter. As they have dominated this game tonight. Here's the kick by Brown. Low line drive kick, and it's going to take a Lakes bounce. Picked up by Mililati, and a good open field tackle down there for the Lakes by Mike Patana, 5'7", 145-pound junior. And the Gladiators will start deep. Mililati in the backfield. Jesse Aho still the quarterback. Culpy out wide right. Here's the handoff to Lafreniere, and going nowhere. And on a stop for the Lakes is Chris Brown, 5'10", 161-pound junior. And it'll be no gain on the play and set up a second down and 10 from the 16 Fernier and Mililati. Here's the handoff, and Mililati, the ball carrier. It's about 4 on the play. I'll make that Lafreniere. Here's the handoff at Mililati, and he gets about a yard on the play. Tom Miller making the initial hit for the Lakes. Waiting the kick will be Zablocki and Marcotte. Those two have been in the end zone a lot. Ball almost blocked, and a high kick by Aho. It's at the 42-yard line, and will be down at the 40-yard line of the Gladiators, where the Lakes will start 1st and 10 out in injuries under the mercy rule. Miller now the quarterback for the Lakes. Mike Patana in the backfield. Miller the quarterback. Here's the handoff, and the ball carrier is Eric Miller. And he gets a few yards on the carry. He'll be along with Miller. Now we have a penalty. And it'll be offside against the Lakes, and that'll cost them 5. In the backfield, Brandon Stevens, along with Eric Miller. The quarterback is Josh Hendrickson. And here's the handoff. And getting across the... Stevens, the ball carrier. In the backfield now, back in there is Mike Patana. Hendrickson, the quarterback. And now we have another flag. And it'll be offside once again against the Lakes. Here's the handoff. And getting good yardage to Stevens as he gets inside the 40 to close to the 35-yard line before Lafreniere makes the stop, and he'll be shy of the first down, and the Gladiators will take over 1st and 10. Mililati in the backfield. Aho still the quarterback for the Gladiators. Here's the handoff as Majura, the ball carrier, gets across the 40 to the 42-yard line. Okay. Hand out to Mililati, and he's wrestled down from behind. Making the stop for the Lakes is Chris Brown. Here's Aho going back to pass. He's rolling right. He's going to be hauled down. In on the sack was Peter Berry for the Lakes. Berry, 5'9", 183-pound junior. Gladiators and Culpe will wide left going for it. Here's the pitch out to Majura, and he breaks the tackle by Berry, and he's not going to break the tackle of Scott Kader, 5'9", 183-pound junior of the Lakes. And the Gladiators unable to convert a first down, and the Lakes will take over with 2:41 remaining here in the first quarter. Is Brandon Stevens. Here's the pitch out to Stevens. Has some running room, and Mayer wrestles him down from behind, shy of the 35-yard line. Another 30-second timeout as the Gladiators want to talk things over. Minute 29 remaining. We'll be back in 30 seconds. Along with Chris Brown in the backfield. Brown now in motion. Here's Hendrickson. Hands out to Patana. Going straight up the gut. And gets about a yard. It'll be third down. And making 9. He breaks Milwaukee's tackle. Has some running room around the left side. Still on his feet. And he's wrestled down by Edepa. Close to a first down. Good running that time by Stevens. 5'5", 140-pound senior for the Lakes. At the 26-yard line of the Gladiators. Patana and Stevens in the backfield. And here's the runner, and he's going to go for the touchdown, and is in. Josh Johnson getting a handoff, a 26-yard run by Josh Johnson at the buzzer at the end of the third quarter, and the Lakes now lead 51-0. Josh Johnson, second string running back for the Lakes. Those 26 yards. And making our score 51-0. Now we'll attempt the extra point as Ronnie Warner holding. Good snap. The kick is up, and the kick is good. So our score at the end of the third quarter is 52-0. The Lakes leading the Gladiators. We'll be back in 1 minute. Back here as we start the fourth quarter. Kicking off will be Chris Brown. Back deep for the Gladiators will be Mililati along with Lafreniere. Short kick. And it's going to be picked up by Culpe. Culpe close to the 38-yard line before he's knocked down. And on the stop for the Lakes is Mike Patana, 262 pounds. You look at Matt Peterson, 6 foot, 306 pounds, and we got a fumble as Majoran carries it in. The Gladiators will keep the ball. Believe me, they have opened up some holes here this evening. Here's the handoff, and doing the running in the backfield is Tim Marzak, 5'8", 160-pound junior. For the quarterback. Here's the pitch out to Marzak, trying to roll the right side. He's being hounded, now cuts inside and breaks one tackle, and he's going to be hauled down for a loss at the 34-yard line. Making a stop for the Lakes is Scott Kader. Scott Kader with some size. Here's a good step. Kick is up, and good kick by Aho. No one back deep for the Lakes. He'll take a Gladiator bounce inside the 35 to the 30-yard line where the Lakes will take over 1st and 10 from the 30-yard line with 8:59 remaining here in the fourth quarter. On the air, the Panthers looking for their first win after losing to Ontonagon and then last Friday night to the North Nicholson Nordics. Hendrickson, the quarterback, and he fumbles the ball, and the Gladiators have recovered. Picking it up for Ontonagon Aaron Bourne, 6'3", 165-pound senior. So Hendrickson coughing it up, and the Gladiators will get it back as they will have it at Lake Linden for the Gladiators. Here's a handout to Marzak, rolling left, now cuts inside, has some room, and coming up from behind to make the tackle at Marzak was Jason Dirkart. And a good gain by Marzak, picking up 6 yards. It'll be a second down and 4. Mayer and Marzak once again in the backfield. Here's the handout to Mayer, and he gets good yardage and close to a first down to the 15-yard line, and it is a first down carry for the Gladiators with 6:42. Pro set in the backfield now. Marzak, here's Aho, quick pass, and a little bit underthrown, and the intended receiver is Nathan Wilbur. Gladiators is Travis Kangas. Here's a handoff as Aho's pass, is broken up by the Lakes. It'll be third down and 10. Here's Aho handing off to Mayer and gets about a half a yard. In on a stop for the Lakes, Scott Kader. It'll be fourth down now for the Gladiators. In the backfield, Aho, the quarterback. Here's Aho now rolling left. Has some running room. Now will be hauled down as he's knocked out of bounds. In pursuit for the Lakes was Gary Backus. Knocking Aho out of bounds, and the Lakes will take over.